Beautiful folks, what is up and what is good? This is your favorite struggling R&B producer, Valentine the Plug, and in this video, I'm gonna put you on to at least 5 different kinds of mixing plugins that you need to have when you're looking to get into vocal mixing. So this video is more or less exclusively for people that haven't gotten into vocal mixing yet, but they're orienting and they're looking to get a good, clear idea of what they need to get started. So let me put y'all on. I also want to preface this by saying that I won't be giving an in-depth explanation about what the plugins are doing. I'll be giving you a very superficial explanation of what they'll be doing. If you want to go in-depth, then I definitely recommend you watch the videos of Help Me Devon. He has amazing breakdowns. I learned a lot from Sean Devine, from Matthew Wise, and Dave Pensato, of course. So if you want to know about the nitty-gritty about what the plugins do, go visit them. I'm only able to show you what I think you absolutely necessarily need. So for the sake of demonstration, I took a vocal sample from a beat that I made way back, and we're gonna use it to demo the plugins that I think that you should at least have when you're looking to get into vocal mixing.
Thought about it. I thought about it, thought about it. Thought about it. I thought about it, thought about it.
You know, not to suck my own nipple, but I flipped that vocal sample into an amazing beat. But that's not what y'all here for. Now, one plugin that I definitely feel you need in your workflow is an equalizer. And an equalizer is one of those standard plugins that comes with any DAW. But the more you get better at mixing, you may want an equalizer that really fits your needs and has functions that you can really utilize. But an equalizer in general, you definitely need it. Why? Because it allows you a degree over the frequency spectrum. Say you record a vocal and it's super boxy, like the room that you're recording with isn't ideal. You can try to compensate for that by making the necessary EQ cuts, even though it's better to just have a better room. But you know, you get what I'm getting at. So if you want control over your vocal and boost frequencies that are necessary or make cuts, then the equalizer will help you do just that, to sit it down better in your mix and to make sure that it interacts well with the other elements in your mix. So that's why an equalizer is important. Now, me personally, I love Neutron Free's equalizer, but you go ahead and find an equalizer that works for you. Now, if you're getting into vocal recording, you are without a doubt going to have to deal with a compressor, and you're going to have to deal with dynamics. Now, dynamics is essentially the difference between the lowest point of volume in your vocal and the highest point of volume in your vocal. And for some genres, having a large dynamic range is a-okay. But specifically for hip hop and specifically trap, we like our vocals punchy and upfront. And a way to achieve that is a compressor, because that allows you to get a more tighter and thicker sound and also sit it down in the mix so that it blends really well. So that's mostly what you're going to be using a compression for. And like I said, I'm not the guy to explain the nitty-gritty of compression to you. I just recommend that you get a decent compressor. Compressors distinguish themselves by the amount of features. I have a very large preference for 1176 emulations, but Neutron Free's EQ is alright. FL Studio has a compressor that works alright. Logic has a good compressor. You know, as you get more experience, you're gonna find more plugins that fit your liking, and I definitely recommend you experiment first.
Thought about it. I thought about it, thought about it. Thought about it.
Now, I demoed it with some heavy, very apparent compression to just give you an idea of what it sounds like, but mostly when you're mixing vocals, you're going to want to dial it in very subtly. Now, reverb and delay are both among the essentials of your mixing ensemble. So let's start with reverb first. What a reverb essentially does, it adds reverberations to your vocal. So it makes it sound like it's in a different space. Your vocal may be recorded in, say, like my studio room, which is very small. But with reverb, you can make it sound like it's actually in a hall, like in a concert hall, like in a church or something like that. That adds a little bit of needed color to your vocal and a needed spaciousness to your vocal, but most importantly, wetness to your vocal. Because nobody likes a dry vocal. It's like eating dry crackers or dry bread without anything on it. You feel me? Now, delay is essentially a repetition of a single word, a single note, which you can actually set to simple intervals. That is very important for creating width in your vocal. It makes it sound wide, essentially. So you should be definitely combining both of these effects to add more wetness to your vocal, but beware, your vocal will lose energy if you dial them in too much. So you have to be very aware of how you're dialing them in. There's YouTube tutorials about that, which I definitely recommend that you look for. But get yourself a decent delay and a decent reverb. Valhalla delay, definitely something like that, or Supermaster, which I think is free.
Thought about it. Thought about I thought about it, thought about it, thought about it.
Now last but not least, you're going to be needing a saturation plugin like Decapitator. I like using Decapitator since it's industry grade. Now what it does essentially is add harmonic distortion on your vocal. That sounds vague, but what it does is it adds another layer of warmth, of brightness, of thickness. It really makes your vocals stand out and pop out. And that is due to the fact that it recreates a lot of analog warmth. Now you can listen to any 90s hip hop record and I guarantee you that you'll understand what 90s analog warmth means, because the vocals are so warm, so upfront, so in your face, like a hip hop record should be. And that's something that you can achieve with a saturation, but you're gonna have to use it subtly. So those are what I consider the essential vocal mixing plugins. And notice that I'm talking about vocal mixing and I'm not talking about vocal effects. Sure, we could have made a case for a vocal doubler or a chorus, for example. I could have made a case for RC20, other saturation things. I even could have gone in depth about track spacer or autotune, of course, which deserves an honorable mention. But these are your essentials. These are the plugins that you will see in any vocal mix, and that will help you create the basis for you to slap those effects on. So get an equalizer, get yourself a compressor, get yourself a good reverb, a good delay, and a good saturation plugin, and I promise you that you'll have a strong foundation for recording your vocals. Alright? Y'all be easy now. Peace.